What is up, everybody? Sven Diesel here. We're going to be tying up the Schlappen bugger. This is just a woolly bugger using a hackle called Schlappen rather than a bugger pack or something of similar length and fibers. We've got an Arex FW 560 in the vise. This is a size 10. We're going to be using some semperfli. This is a wax thread in a 12-aught. You could go a little heavier with like an 8-aught or a 6-aught. I found that this works just perfect for this, and I'll go ahead and start my thread and work it back to the bend. I'm going to run my tag end all the way down. You can trim it out before, but I just keep it all the way down for simplicity, and that way I know it's uniform. So we're going to be using some Whiting Farms. This is the Super Boo material in the black, and you can see that fiber is just a little bit sparse, so I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 of them. It's not uncommon to use 2 feathers for your woolly buggers, and so I'll go ahead and measure it about 1.5 times the length of the shank of the hook, or I actually think that's the overall length of the hook. I really want it to be a nice long tail. Now I'll go ahead and grab that second piece and just match up the tips and go ahead and tie that in as well, keeping it on the top of the shank of the hook with some nice securing wraps. I'll go ahead and do some over-unders just to kind of check that out, and man, that has got a nice taper to it. So I'll go ahead and trim out these stems, and we are well into this fly. I love putting a little bit of crystal flash. I'm just going to grab 1 strand of the pearl, and I'm going to fold it in half, making sure that is longer than the length of my tail, and I'll tie it in on my side of the shank of the hook, almost like a lateral line, and then I'll work my way back with some nice securing wraps, trying to keep that crystal flash out of my way, and right there pinch it on the side, and we're golden. And then I'll do what I call the flying V. I just fold it up and over and work my way down the other side, the opposing side of the shank, and just do some nice securing wraps, and we've got our flash in. And this one seems to be a little bit twisted, and so you can go ahead and trim them, but I basically pull it, and as soon as the marabou starts dropping out, that's when I cut my crystal flash, so that way it's a little bit longer than the longest fibers, and it's just a good way of measuring it. For this, we're going to be securing our hackle with some 0.2 millimeter gold semperfli wire. That way when it takes a few hits, it's going to remain durable, and so I'll go ahead and tie in a nice 5 to 6 inch piece, whatever's easiest for you to work with. This may be, we're not going to use all of this, but I'll go ahead and tie it in the whole length of the shank, adding a little bit of weight. I'm not afraid to add some weight to this because I do want it to sink down. I typically fish these with some floating line, and for this you can see the Schlappen, this is out of 1 pack. The one on the left would be ideal for this, but it's almost a little bit too big. That might be a little bit better for a size 8, maybe a 6 or a 4, and this one's just a little bit small. This one will look more like a bugger pack, but let's go ahead and go with this small one. I'll strip the fluff off, and the Schlappen compared to the bugger hackle is a little bit more flowy, a little bit more of I wouldn't call it a wet hackle, but it does have a lot more flowiness to it. It's not near as stiff as the bugger packs, which I believe is the same as the Euro saddle, but I'm not a feather expert. I just use what I like, and I love these. So we're going to be using this guard hair chenille by Semperfli for the underbody. This is a really, really cool, unique product. It comes packaged a little bit tight, and so you always want to make sure to brush it out. And this is not like a chenille. You can't pull the fibers to expose the cord. What you need to do is pinch it and kind of trim those off. It's got a unique property that doesn't allow you to pull these out. It kind of creates a mess, and so I just trim it the best I can and then tie that in like the tag end, similar to we would like a flashy chenille or something like that. And I'll go ahead and tie that in with some nice securing wraps and work my way up to the bead. And now since we have that little hump there, I'm going to do my wraps with this guard hair chenille a little bit spaced out here, not touching, until I get over that hump, and that way we have a nice uniform body. And here I'm going to come in and do some nice touching wraps. You can see this black guard hair has a lot of unique flash in there. It's pretty awesome stuff. Looks amazing when wet. I also use it for a lot of other things like the egg on an egg sucking leech, egg patterns, and of course woolly bugger bodies. and we could fish that just like that as is, but I'm going to go ahead and secure it off, tie it in, make sure that end is nice and secure, and then I'll always brush this out. It seems to be a little bit packed down from packaging, and you can see how flowy and fluffy this gets as you brush it out, and just really kind of a unique material. I don't know if I've seen anything like it or used anything similar. But now we're going to palmer this Schlappen feather through, and you can see I wrapped the guard hair chenille the one way, so I'm going to counter rib this with the Hackle fiber here, and we'll go ahead and palmer this around. I think the reason I like doing woolly buggers using Schlappen is to say Schlappen. It's kind of a fun, unique word. And as we get up through this, you can see that this is a little bit small for a Schlappen feather for this. Usually it's a lot more flowy. I almost like this more than oversizing it. This looks really cool, and so we'll go ahead and make sure our fibers are oriented. I think I twist the feather here, and so we want to make sure that we orient those feather fibers so that they're going backwards, and just kind of give it a crease along the stem. You're not going to pull those off. Just make sure you're not ripping them off, but just stroke them back, kind of give them a natural bend. And then as I get here towards the front, right here between the guard hair chenille and the bead, I'm going to do 2 to 3 full wraps to create a nice head and a nice, I guess, collar on this. And then I'll go ahead and tie that off and do a couple wraps in front and a wrap behind, and then some more wraps in front, and we'll trim that out. And that's nice and secure. Kind of use your thread now to get that tag end down, really kind of crank it in between that bead and that guard hair chenille. And now, since we oriented the feather the one way, we're going to wrap this the same way we did the guard hair chenille to counter rib the Hackle, and this thing is going to be bulletproof on durability. And I'm just weaving it in and out of all those Hackle fibers, the Schlappen fibers, to not trap them down. And look at that, that's just going ultra smooth. I've tied like one of these before, and so you can see it's really easy to tie for your second time. No, I'm kidding. I tied a ton of these, and I love them. I fish them all the time, and this particular color scheme is one that works, and it is effective. And most of my waters I fish black pretty regularly. Seems to be a confidence fly for me, or a confidence color. But we'll go ahead and secure that wire with some wraps behind and in front, and then I'll use my flush cutters here and get in there, trying not to cut the Hackle fibers at all, and then just use your fingernail to push that down and kind of seat it in between the bead. And then we'll go ahead and cover it here with our thread wraps so that it's going to be not come undone. And man, look at that, that just is super pretty. I really like how this one turned out. We could have gone with the longer fiber feathers, but I really like this one. This is more proportionate to what I generally fish. But for a Schlappen bugger, I would say it's a little bit on the smaller end on the fibers. Those normally will flow into the tail pretty well. But let's go ahead and put a little bit of this semperfli eye stub, making a nice little collar here on the front of this fly. You only need about 2 or 3 fibers. And you can see I dropped most of them, and I only put 1 fiber on, and I'll go ahead and grab 2 more. And that is ample enough, 3 fibers. And I love this eye stub by Semperfli. It really just binds to the thread really, really well. It's almost too good. It makes it too easy. I prefer not to put wax on my thread because it gets on my fingers, and I just don't like that. So let's go ahead and do a double whip finish so it's nice and secure, and that is our bulletproof Schlappen bugger. We'll go ahead and trim out our tag end. Most of these materials are available in a lot of different colors. I fish these typically in black, olive, white, purple, and wine. I guess burgundy would also be another color, but switch up your bead colors, switch up your flash, switch up, you could do a different Schlappen color and, fish them, and hopefully they pierce some lips for you. Thanks for watching.